welcome to Coaching with Tally. We are stepping up your confidence game in 10 minutes today. Talking about self-love, self-confidence, looking at the places that keep us from that and how we can move ourselves into greater confidence. So, my name is Tally. I'm a life and personal development coach, and I work with leaders to create lives of overflowing impact that are centered in joy. And one of the ways we do this is around mindset. So this whole week we're talking about fixed and growth mindsets. And one of the keys to moving yourself into greater growth mindset on this continuum that we have between fixed mindsets and growth mindsets, one of the things you can do to move yourself into more growth is to address the approval. So that's one thing that most people struggle with at some level, wanting approval from others. It's one of our core longings. It's one of our deep desires, one of the needs that we have. And we're going to talk today about how that is actually an inside job first. It's more an inside job than anything. And so we're going to talk a little bit about what are some of the indicators that you might want to address this or lean into gaining more confidence, and what are some things you can do about it. So have you ever pretended like you're agreeing with someone even when you don't, or pretended to know something even when you don't totally know what the person is talking about? Do you find it difficult to say no? Like, are you a serial overcommitter? Do you ever have a hard time standing up for yourself and then regret it later? How about seeking attention or connection through gossip? Good to see you guys on here. Being overly apologetic, like just saying, oh, I'm sorry, for things that you didn't actually really do or you don't need to apologize for. There are lots of different ways that we modify or change our behavior in order to have approval or to avoid disapproval. So first of all, I just want you to know you're super not alone if you can identify with any of those things. I think as a human species, we are wired for connection. We're connective beings, and so we want connection, we want approval, we want to be accepted for who we are. And so all of those things are really, really common. Yeah, overly apologetic. And I can really relate with this because some of my key coping mechanisms growing up were people pleasing and perfectionism. So I really identify with some of these things. And especially if you've ever done a DISC assessment or a personality matrix assessment, those of us who tend to be more in the supporter roles, we're very keyed into what's going on with other people. We empathize easily. There's a lot of strengths to it. But one of the weaknesses that can come with that personality is this people-pleasing thing. Because we're so keyed in, then we kind of subconsciously learn how to get approval from people. We use that strength and that skill to get approval, which totally makes sense. But when we get that, approval is mostly an inside job. It's mostly something that's gonna come from within, between us, connection with source. Those places are where it's gonna come most powerfully. And so we're gonna talk about some things that you can do today to be able to get into more self-confidence. Just imagine if you could live life from this place of just genuinely enjoying being with yourself. And you just flowed. And when you made mistakes, it just was like awesome, learning and growing. And when other people criticize something, you're like, okay, that's cool. They get to have their opinion about me. And like their opinion of me really is like, that's their thing. It has really nothing to do with me. So those are all some pieces that we can get to. We can get to those places where we are just flowing, enjoying who we are, learning from our mistakes, not taking ourselves too seriously, and enjoying the process of growth. All of those things are indicators of being in this growth mindset that we've talked about so much. So some things that you can do is really prioritize and enjoy spending time with you. So just making time for yourself. There's a resource that I love called The Artist Way by Julia Cameron. And one of the things she has you do is part of her program is to take yourself on a date every week. Just you by yourself doing something that you enjoy, getting into a sense of play, or doing something that you just find like a hobby of yours, getting yourself out in nature, whatever it is. It's just refueling, refreshing, and enjoying being with yourself. Checking in with what it is that you need or want. So getting tuned in to like, what is it that I'm needing right now? What is it that I'm needing and wanting? How can I take care of myself well right now. So rather than expecting other people to always be doing that, like you owning and taking responsibility for it, but that starts with being connected to what those things are. Giving yourself permission to have a voice, like believing that your voice really matters, the things that you believe, the things that you need, asking for support, all of those kinds of things, but allowing yourself to have a voice and practicing that, because it really is, it's practice over time that we get stronger and stronger with that. Practice advocating for yourself. So that's part of using your voice, but advocate for you and seeing that as a positive thing, not like I'm selfish if I advocate for myself. But when there's something, like maybe it's you don't get good customer service, or there's a product that's defective and you just go, I don't want to say anything. But those are opportunities for you to advocate for yourself. Like, hey, this was not right, or this is broken. Like stepping up and advocating for you. Some people that's easier for than others. Fostering self-worth conversations in your own head. And this is one of the pieces we're going to do today in terms of the challenge. The stretch for today is going to be around this. But really fostering self-worth conversations where you speak kindly to yourself, where you speak things of value about yourself, where you let yourself delight in and enjoy you. Those are huge in developing self-confidence, in developing self-worth, and stepping into more like higher levels of self-esteem and keeping yourself in that growth mindset as well. And then committing to just being in a place of learning and growing, just deciding I am going to take feedback from people, not as criticism, hey, beautiful, not as, like tearing me down. I'm going to take anything that comes at me and decide that I'm going to use it, that I'm going to grow through it. I'm going to not take myself too seriously. I'm going to let mistakes be opportunities to grow. So just choosing a lot of the things that we've been talking about this week, just choosing, I'm just going to have a growth mindset. I'm not going to take things personally. I'm not going to wither under criticism. I'm just going to let people have their opinion. It has nothing to do with me. That's between them and God or whatever. And then when people are genuinely giving feedback, like really looking at it and going, oh, that's awesome. I can grow in that way. That's such great feedback, and appreciating it. So those are all things you can do. Your challenge today is to write a letter to yourself. And I really encourage you to go do this right now, or put time in your schedule today or this weekend that you're going to sit down and write a letter to you, appreciating the things inside and out about you that are a beautiful blessing. So have fun with that. And we'll be back here again tomorrow, same time, same place, for Coaching with Tally. Have fun loving you today.